How to recognize and utilize the angelic presence watching over you. Imagine you are standing alone in the middle of an empty street at night. The cold wind brushing against your face, and the weight of your troubles pressing down on you like an unbearable burden. In that moment of solitude, have you ever felt an unexplainable warmth, a sudden calmness washing over you, as if an invisible hand just rested on your shoulder? What if I told you that what you felt wasn't just your imagination but a profound reality? That there is an angelic presence watching over you right now, silently guiding and protecting you even when you're unaware? What would change in your life if you truly believed that? We often hear about angels in ancient scriptures, myths, and stories passed down through generations. Yet, in our fast-paced modern world, filled with distractions and endless pursuits, we rarely pause to consider the possibility that these celestial beings are not just remnants of ancient tales but active participants in our daily lives. But how do we recognize them? How do we know they're there? And more importantly, how do we harness their presence to transform our lives? I remember a time when I felt lost, burdened by decisions that seemed impossible to make. I was seeking answers, but none seemed to come. One day, as I sat in silence, questioning everything, a simple thought entered my mind: trust the unseen. At first, I dismissed it as just another fleeting thought, but the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it echoed. Days later, I found myself in a situation where everything felt aligned, as if an invisible force had orchestrated every event perfectly. Was it mere coincidence, or was it an angel gently nudging me toward the path I was meant to take? Have you ever experienced moments that felt too perfectly timed to be mere chance? Recognizing angelic presence begins with awareness. Angels often communicate in whispers, subtle signs that the untrained mind might overlook. Have you ever noticed repetitive numbers like 1111 or 333 appearing frequently when you're deep in thought? Some dismiss these as random patterns. But what if they're not? What if each repetition is a gentle reminder from your guardian angel, trying to tell you, I'm here, and you're on the right path? But here's the challenge. We live in a world dominated by logic, where only what we see and touch is deemed real. So, how do we open ourselves to something beyond the physical? The answer lies in our inner stillness. When was the last time you truly sat in silence, not seeking answers but simply listening? It is in those moments of deep stillness that angelic whispers become clear. Have you ever wondered why your most profound realizations often come in moments of solitude? Yet, recognizing their presence is just the beginning. Utilizing their guidance requires trust, an unwavering belief that even when things seem to fall apart, there's a higher force working for your good. This is where most of us falter. It's easy to believe when life is smooth. But what about when you're facing heartbreak, failure, or loss? Would you still believe an angel is by your side when the world around you is crumbling? I once spoke to a man who had lost everything: his job, his family, his sense of self. In his darkest hour, he decided to end it all. But as he stood on the edge, ready to give up, he heard a voice say, "Hold on a little longer." He looked around, but no one was there. Something about that voice felt different. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful. He stepped back, and that moment became the turning point in his life. Today, he credits that voice, that unseen presence, for saving him. Was it just his mind playing tricks? Or was it an angel intervening at the right time? What do you think? Utilizing the presence of angels requires conscious effort. Every morning when you wake up, what if you took a moment to acknowledge their presence? What if, before making any major decision, you asked for their guidance, not just in your mind but with genuine intent? And then, what if you stayed still long enough to hear their response? Not as a loud voice but as an inner knowing, a sudden clarity that wasn't there before? But here's the most challenging part: trusting that guidance even when it doesn't align with what you want. Sometimes, an angelic presence may steer you away from something you deeply desire because they see what you cannot. Have you ever wanted something so badly, only to be met with constant obstacles? What if those obstacles were not punishments but protection? What if that failed relationship, that lost job, or that missed opportunity was an angel's way of saving you from something far worse? We often think that divine guidance will always lead us to immediate happiness. But angels operate from a higher perspective. They don't just see where you are, They see where you're meant to be. Their presence doesn't promise a life without pain, but it does promise that no matter what you face, you will never face it alone. Would you still trust them if their guidance led you through the storm before bringing you to the shore? Imagine waking up every day knowing that there is a celestial being watching over you. Not out of obligation but out of pure, unconditional love. Imagine the courage you would have to chase your dreams, the peace you would feel even in chaos, and the strength you would possess to overcome any obstacle. This is not a distant dream, it is a reality waiting for you to embrace it. But here's a question for you. If an angel stood before you right now and offered to guide you, would you be willing to let go of your fears, doubts, and need for control to follow that guidance? Because recognizing and utilizing angelic presence is not about commanding them to fulfill our desires. It's about surrendering to a wisdom far greater than our own. The silent whispers. How to hear, interpret, and trust the messages from angels in your everyday life. Have you ever sat alone, wondering if the choices you've made were truly yours or influenced by something unseen? Imagine walking through a dense forest with no map, feeling lost and overwhelmed. Suddenly, you notice faint footprints on the ground, as if someone had walked that path before you, leading you to safety. What if I told you that these footprints are the whispers of angels, subtly guiding you through the maze of life? But the question is, are you paying attention? Hearing angelic messages is not about waiting for a booming voice from the heavens. It's about tuning in to the subtle frequencies that most of us ignore. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you had a gut feeling about something that turned out to be right? Was it really just intuition? Or was it an angel speaking to you in a language beyond words? Think about it. How many times have you changed your route last minute only to avoid an accident? Or felt an unexplainable urge to call someone, only to find out they desperately needed to hear from you? Coincidence? Or whispers from the divine? Angels speak through signs that we often dismiss as random. Have you ever found a feather in an unexpected place? Seen a butterfly land near you during a moment of sorrow? Or repeatedly encountered the same song lyrics that resonate with your current struggles? These are not mere accidents. Angels often use familiar elements to communicate because they know we need tangible reminders of their presence. But here's the challenge. Are we open enough to see these signs for what they are? There was a time when I questioned everything about my life's purpose. One night, as I sat in my room, lost in thought, a flickering candle caught my eye. No wind, no movement, yet the flame danced wildly. And in that moment, a thought surfaced. You're exactly where you need to be. It felt foreign, yet comforting. I didn't hear it with my ears, but I felt it with my soul. Have you ever experienced something similar? A moment where the universe seemed to speak directly to you? Interpreting these messages requires more than belief, it requires presence. In our daily hustle, our minds are constantly cluttered with endless thoughts, fears, and distractions. But angels don't shout, they whisper. And to hear a whisper, you need silence. How often do you allow yourself to disconnect from the chaos and simply be? Because in that stillness, the most profound messages are revealed. What if the answers you've been seeking are already being given, but you're too busy to hear them? One of the most practical ways to invite angelic guidance is through mindful awareness. Start your day with a simple practice. Before reaching for your phone or diving into your to-do list, close your eyes and say, I am open to your guidance today. It's not about asking for miracles, it's about creating a space where angels feel welcomed. And then, as you go about your day, pay attention. Notice the unexpected delays, the strangers who cross your path, the random thoughts that enter your mind. What if each of these is an angel's way of guiding you? And all you need to do is listen? But let's be honest, trusting these messages is not always easy. There are moments when the signs are clear, yet our rational mind fights them. Have you ever felt pulled towards a decision that made no logical sense, yet something inside you insisted it was right? Trusting angelic guidance often means letting go of our need for control and embracing uncertainty. Are you willing to take that leap of faith? I remember hearing a story about a woman who was about to accept a lucrative job offer. Everything about it seemed perfect: high salary, prestigious title, and stability. But every time she tried to finalize her decision, she felt uneasy. She couldn't explain why. One night, She dreamt of a road that ended abruptly at a cliff. The next morning, she declined the offer. Much to everyone's shock, months later, the company faced a massive scandal that would have ruined her career. Was it just luck, or was it her guardian angel protecting her from a path that wasn't meant for her? Practical steps to trust angelic messages start with awareness but must be followed by action. When you receive a sign, don't dismiss it, write it down, reflect on it, and most importantly, act on it. If you feel nudged to take a different path, explore it. If you feel warned about something, reconsider it. Angels will never force you, but they will always guide you. The question is, will you follow? Yet, the most beautiful part of this journey is realizing that angelic presence is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to each of us, regardless of who we are or where we come from. The only requirement is willingness. Are you willing to open your heart to the unseen and trust that you are never truly alone? But here's a thought to leave you with. If angels are indeed watching over us, offering guidance, protection, and love, why do so many of us still feel lost? Is it because they're absent? Or is it because we've stopped listening? Living with angels. Transform your life by embracing the divine guidance around you. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that no matter what challenges the day holds, there is an unseen force guiding your every step. How differently would you approach life if you truly believed that angels were not just mythical beings but active participants in your journey? What if I told you that embracing angelic guidance is not just about seeking comfort but about unlocking a life of purpose, clarity, and profound transformation? Living with angels is not about waiting for divine intervention during crises. It's about weaving their presence into your everyday existence. Have you ever wondered what your life would look like if every decision you made was aligned with a higher wisdom? Picture yourself standing at a crossroads, uncertain of which path to take. Now imagine feeling a gentle pull towards one direction, a quiet assurance that whispers, "This is where you need to go." Would you trust that pull, even if the path seemed uncertain? One of the most powerful stories I've ever heard was about a man who survived a fatal car crash. Moments before the accident, he felt an overwhelming urge to pull over, though he couldn't explain why. Seconds later, a truck lost control, crashing into the very lane he would have been in. When asked about it later, he simply said, "It felt like someone whispered in my ear to stop." Was it coincidence, or was it an angelic intervention that saved his life? If that were you, would you dismiss it as chance? Or would you start believing that angels are closer than you think? To transform your life through angelic presence, you must first create an environment where their guidance can flourish. This starts with mindfulness. Every time you face a challenge, instead of immediately reacting, pause and ask, what is this situation trying to teach me? What guidance am I missing here? Often, our greatest lessons come not from what happens to us but from how we choose to perceive it. What if every hardship you face is an angel's way of preparing you for something greater? Daily rituals can also deepen your connection. Lighting a candle each morning and simply saying, "I welcome your presence today," might seem small, but it creates a sacred space for angelic energy. Writing down moments when you felt guided, no matter how trivial they seem, helps you recognize patterns. Have you ever looked back and realized that what you thought was a random decision was actually a series of perfectly timed events leading you to exactly where you needed to be? But here's a profound question. If angels are constantly guiding us, why do we often feel lost or disconnected? Could it be that their guidance is always present, but we are too consumed by our fears, doubts, and desires to hear them? Imagine if every moment of doubt you faced was met with the silent reassurance of an angel's presence. Would that change the way you live? Stories of angelic encounters often share one common theme: transformation. A woman once shared how she felt guided to leave an abusive relationship after finding a feather on her doorstep every morning for a week. Something that had never happened before. She took it as a sign, and though the decision was terrifying, it led her to a life of peace and self-discovery. Another man spoke of how a sudden thought to take a different route home saved him from a fatal accident. In both cases, the angelic presence wasn't loud or dramatic, it was subtle, yet life-changing. What if the signs you need are already around you, waiting for you to notice? Practical tools to embrace angelic guidance include meditation, journaling, and intentional gratitude. Each night, as you reflect on your day, ask yourself, where did I feel guided today? What moments felt too perfectly timed to be mere chance? The more you acknowledge their presence, the stronger your connection becomes. But let me ask you this, if you knew, beyond any doubt, that an angel was watching over you right now, would you still hold on to your fears? Or would you finally let them go? Living with angels means trusting even when you don't have all the answers. It means believing that setbacks are not punishments but redirections. It means waking up each day with the assurance that no matter how dark the night, there is always a light guiding you forward. Imagine the courage, peace, and clarity you would possess if you lived every day knowing that you are divinely guided. What's stopping you from embracing that reality today? So, as we end this journey, I leave you with one final question. If you opened your heart to the angelic presence around you, what extraordinary life might be waiting for you just beyond the fears you hold on to? This is not the end. It is the beginning of a life where you no longer walk alone. The angels are here, always have been. The real question is, are you ready to recognize them?